When the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, the battle over abortion rights shifted to the state level. Now, abortion services are banned completely in 7 states, and bans will soon go into effect in 4 others with so-called trigger laws. President Biden, in a meeting with 9 Democratic governors this afternoon to discuss all this, said, quote, "I think people are going to be shocked when the first state tries to arrest a woman for crossing a state line to get health services. I don't think people believe that's going to happen, but it's going to happen." Legal battles over state laws have already begun. Courts placed bans in 3 states on hold this week, and in some states, abortion providers have been left confused over conflicting laws and shifting guidance from leaders. Joining me now to discuss the nation's new patchwork of laws is Carrie Franklin. She is the faculty director of the Center on Reproductive Health, Law, and Policy at the UCLA School of Law. Professor Carrie Franklin, welcome to the NewsHour. I think a number of people look at what they think may happen after Roe v. Wade being overturned. They think of the coasts of the country largely being open to abortion, but the middle of the country and the South not. Is that roughly what the country is going to look like now?
That appears to be how it will look. We're seeing Roe pull the red states and blue states further apart in the sense that the response, as we knew in the anti abortion states, would be to enact more legislation and more restrictions, but also in the reproductive freedom states, the blue states, we're seeing a lot of lawmaking as well to amplify protections and to increase funding for care. So, where you live in this country is extremely determinative of your rights and will be even more so going forward.
Well, within these states that have conservative Republican leadership in the governor's office and the legislatures, the states, many of which have these trigger laws where abortion bans were to go into effect, we now see, as we mentioned, challenges in 3 of them: Kentucky, Louisiana, Utah. What do you see unfolding in these states?
I think it remains to be seen. I would describe the situation nationwide now as chaotic. We see laws going into effect, we see laws being enjoined, we see clinics canceling appointments and then calling people and rescheduling these appointments. I think judges are scrambling to try to figure out. Some states have old laws that they're trying to bring into effect. Are those laws antiquated? Or have they been superseded by new laws? Do these new trigger laws comport with state constitutions? Because what happened on Friday is the Supreme Court said the United States Constitution doesn't protect your right to abortion. But now we have 50 other constitutions under which we're going to have to decide what rights are available. A lot of these constitutions have protections for privacy, for liberty, for equal protection, and we're going to have to work out on the state level exactly what the state constitutions afford.
And then you have the states, Professor Franklin, with a Democratic governor, Democratic state legislature, states that are going to be seeking to protect women's access to abortion. What do you see unfolding there in terms of challenges?
I see a lot of laws being passed in terms of increasing funding, in terms of increasing the number of providers. I think some of the challenges will involve blue states trying to insulate providers and those who help people seeking care from attempts by anti abortion states to reach across borders. So, states like California and New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts are passing laws saying we're not going to use our state courts, our state law enforcement to extradite people or to enforce your judgments when they are contrary to our constitutions and our deepest legal commitments.
And I do want to also ask you about what President Biden said today, that he's going to be on the lookout, that we all should be on the lookout for states that essentially are going to be going after women who try to cross a state line to get an abortion. What do you see happening in that regard?
The law is very unclear in this regard. I think there was a very important signal in the Dobbs decision on Friday when Justice Kavanaugh said if a state tried to ban an abortion seeker from leaving a state to get care, that would, he said, clearly violate the constitutional right to travel, signaling that some of the justices who were willing to overturn Roe might think there are some limits on how much red states can try to extend their laws to conduct that happens beyond their borders. I will just say there has been commentary from the right for a long time that overruling Roe would get the courts out of the abortion umpiring business. And I do not think that will happen. Roe is overturned, and we are seeing a flood of lawsuits and will for many years over these very difficult questions of conflicts of laws, states trying to apply laws outside their borders, and a lot of messy and complicated legal questions coming our way.
And with regard to some of those messy and complicated legal questions, what about any laws with regard to medication-induced abortions, which we now know constitute over half the abortions in this country?
I think that will be a big area of litigation going forward. The FDA has found medication and abortion to be safe and efficacious up to 10 weeks. There's a possibility that the FDA determinations that these medications are safe may preempt some state restrictions that go beyond what the FDA has said is necessary. I do think medication abortion will be a big part of the puzzle. I think we'll see a lot of lawsuits about it, and only time will tell how strong the FDA's rulings about the safety of this medication are in states that are trying to restrict it.
And finally, I know you were telling us you are also looking at the effect all of this could have on women's access to health care, broadly speaking.
Yeah, I am seeing some reports that doctors, providers, and pharmacists have been hesitant to prescribe or fill prescriptions for drugs such as methotrexate, which are involved in treating ectopic pregnancies, for misoprostol, which are involved in miscarriage care but are also used in medication abortion. And some of these laws are so broad and vague that providers are afraid that even if they're treating ectopic pregnancies and miscarriages, overzealous prosecutors may come after them. And we're seeing doctors already pulling back from care. And I think there's a real concern that this new regime will affect not just people seeking abortion, but may deleteriously affect the health of lots of women and pregnant people.
Well, what I hear you saying, among other things, is we are looking at a lack of clarity for some time to come. Professor Carrie Franklin at the UCLA School of Law, we thank you.
Happy to be here.